right? So now we are going to entering the topic. Still, the first topic will be French Revolution, but before that, we need to know the meaning of some terms, okay? And some developments during Renaissance. What is the meaning of Age of Enlightenment? We need to understand all these topics before we enter into the yes. कल मैंने सिलेबस ही डिस्कस किया था, कुछ खास डिस्कस नहीं किया था, राइट? So today I will discuss the theme, okay? In last class I discussed the syllabus only. So here now I'm going to start with the topic, and that is, first we need to understand some keywords. Clear? Keywords, because these keywords will come across frequently, okay, while the discussion. So it's very important to understand the meaning or these keywords, right? And okay, for example, in last class I discussed with you this key concept, that is the meaning of ancient Europe, medieval Europe, and modern Europe. Ancient Europe, medieval Europe, and modern Europe. So the entire concepts will revolve around these three ideas or the segments. Ancient Europe. Now, in ancient and medieval Europe, the time period you all already know, I have already discussed with you, that was 3600 BC to 500 AD. This is from 500 AD to 14th 15th century AD, and the third is from 14th 15th century AD onwards. This division you already know. This is the most important concept I am going to discuss with you. And here you will also get another word, and that is Holy Roman Empire. Holy Roman Empire. This is another word. Holy Roman Empire. We also know this Holy Roman Empire by the name of Ancient Holy Roman Empire. So these two words have been added, okay? Basically this is Roman Empire, okay? Some terminologies are very famous in history. One terminology says it as an Ancient Holy Roman Empire, but later we see Voltaire, okay, will say that this empire was neither ancient nor holy. So that was a part of criticism. This is Holy Roman Empire, right? And this Holy Roman Empire, you can say, will dominate in these two phases, ancient and medieval phases both. The Holy Roman Empire will dominate. But later a point will come when this Roman Empire will be divided into two parts, right? One part will be called Western Roman Empire and the other part will be called Eastern Roman Empire. So again we will get another two words. One is what? Western Roman Empire. One is what? Western Roman Empire. And the another terminology here is Eastern Roman Empire. Eastern Roman Empire. And the center of this Eastern Roman Empire was Constantinople. Today in modern Indian history class we have discussed about Constantinople. So the center of this Eastern Roman Empire was Constantinople. इसी का center Constantinople था. That is Turkey today. Okay? And in today's class in modern India we have discussed that the fall of Constantinople was in which year? 1453 AD. And after this what will happen? This Eastern Roman Empire will be replaced by whom? Ottoman Empire. So iske baad aata hai Ottoman Empire, right? So in this phase we will see another empire that is known as Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire. Okay? So the Turks are here. So the Western Roman Empire, Eastern Roman Empire and the Ottoman Empire. Let's discuss a basic meaning of this with the help of PPT, and then I will discuss some important concepts. Okay? So let's understand it through some PPTs. For example, we are using this word, okay, that is Holy Roman Empire. So the word is Roman Empire, and what it says that The Roman Empire or the Holy Roman Empire sprawled across much of Europe for over a millennium, right? So that we are talking about ancient phase and medieval phase. This Roman Empire is dominating the entire Europe. And the next important point that has been written here is it was comprising of the area that today is called Germany was a part of it, Austria was a part of it. Here Germany was not an independent nation. In last class I have discussed that unification of Germany and Italy as new nations will come in which year? 1870-71. But technically we are using this word Germany, that today's Germany was a part of it, Austria was a part of it, Belgium was a part of it, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Czech Republic, Switzerland, okay, and Italy and etc. France, Denmark, Poland, okay, Liechtenstein, all these were parts of this Roman Empire. Means it was covering a large area, right? Now what we are using here, which word we are using here? Western Roman Empire. Another word which we use is what? Eastern Roman Empire. And what has been written here, that the Romans did not use this term. The Roman Empire was at its climax during which time period? 117 AD. This phase is what? Roman Empire was at its climax. तो ये किस फेज में, एंशियंट फेज में है कि मिडिवल फेज में? 117 AD किस में आएगा? ओके, तो exactly 3600 BC to 500 AD, ठीक है? So this will come under ancient phase. So in 117 AD, okay, that is you can say that first century AD or second century AD, what we see is that the Roman Empire was at its climax, okay, and at this time it was covering these areas. It has been written. Now the second thing is that in 285 AD, that is 3rd century AD, the Roman Empire had grown so vast that it was no longer feasible to govern all the provinces from the central seat of Rome. मेरी बात समझ गए? When an empire will become so vast, so big, it will cover larger territories or area, so it will need how many capitals? 2 capitals. India में भी, in ancient India you will find that many rulers had 2 capitals. ठीक है? So the same is happening here, that the Roman Empire has become very vast. It is very difficult to govern Roman Empire from one center. So what is the solution? Choosing 2 centers for the governance. So one center will control those countries which are the part of Western Europe, and one center will control those countries which are the part of Eastern Europe. And in this way, these two terminologies comes into existence. Western Roman Empire and Eastern Roman Empire. This is the reason. You can see here that soon after coming to power, this ruler made a these facts are not important for you, only the idea is important. Fact mat rakhna. Okay, they did what? Like right here, this is important, that divided the empire into 2 hubs. Okay, eastern part capital was Byzantium. This Byzantium is also known as Constantinople. ये सेंटर था किसका? ईस्टर्न पार्ट का, Byzantium और Constantinople. And the western part, okay, Western Empire was governed from Milan, Rome. Okay, it means that what is the time period? This is the time period, that is 3rd 4th century AD. 3rd 4th century AD, this vast Holy Roman Empire was divided into 2 parts. Western European countries, those countries which were a part of this Roman Empire in Western Europe, were governed by this center, that is Milan, and in Eastern Europe, those areas which were controlled by Roman Empire, they were governed from Constantinople. And Constantinople lies at the junction of the famous trade routes also. That is the transit point also. And I told you that Constantinople was one of the most important center, urban center for intellectual and cultural activity, everything. So this is the reason. Now if you look at this map map is in different contexts, but here you can see this division, this entire is the holy, this all is Roman Empire, and this part is what? Eastern Roman Empire, and this part is what? Western Roman Empire. Clear? This Eastern Roman Empire is governed from this center. This is known as Constantinople. समझ में आया आपको? This is known as Constantinople. Now in these 2 hubs, what we see is that this Western Europe is basically Latin speaking. this Western Europe is basically what? Latin speaking. ये Latin speaking है. दूसरी चीज क्या है? In ancient era, where was the center of power? Center of power पहले कहाँ था? Originally कहाँ था? Western में या Eastern में? Western Europe. ठीक है, जब डिवीजन होगा so it will shift to east. Constantinople will be the center. So previously the center of power was this Western Europe. Western Europe. And here this part was, okay, mainly Latin speaking people were there. That is famous for this. And the most important thing is that, okay, right? And this part, Eastern Roman Empire, this we can say is Greek speaking. Greek speaking. That is Latin speaking. This is Greek speaking. Okay? Latin speaking and Greek speaking. Okay? Now, now I am going to discuss the transition of power. So, in ancient Europe, I have already discussed with you that this period, 3600 BC to 500 AD period, this is also known as Golden Age. इसको क्या कहते हैं? Golden Age. In last class I have discussed. Okay. And Medieval Age, in that context, is also known as Dark Age. ठीक है. और Dark Age में क्या होगा? Evils will enter. ठीक है. So Dark Age जो रिलेट किया जाता है वो इस पार्ट के लिए रिलेट किया जाता है, Dark Age. ठीक है. Basically Dark Age. So what happened in Europe? Okay, these two concepts you have discussed. Now one more concept I will discuss. I have already discussed it in modern Indian history class, that 1453, right? This is a very important point, that in 1453, right, this fall of Constantinople, 1453 AD, fall of Constantinople. Again, write this point. This is a very important point here. Fall of Constantinople. Fall of Constantinople meaning is what? Capture, control of Constantinople by Ottoman Turks. This event in history is known as fall of Constantinople, right? So what is happening here? 1453, fall of Constantinople. Now gradually what will happen? This all area will come under the control of Ottoman Empire. And you see here, this is the Ottoman Empire. But this Ottoman Empire, you see, okay, basically 1453, ये इस phase का है. Any empire will not come all of a sudden, right? So you can see here that different colors, images have been given. These all are the territories, and some of the colors shows that when it was at its greatest power or height. So that is what? 17th century AD. Ottoman Empire was at its climax. ठीक है? 17 के बाद क्या होगा? Ottoman Empire will decline. 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, Ottoman Empire will decline. And in that context, I will discuss with you when I will discuss First World War, that the Ottoman Empire was called, okay, dying man of Europe. ठीक है, उसको dying man of Europe कहा गया, sick man of Europe कहा गया, जब वो decline हो रहा था. तो अब आप समझ गए 3 words. Now I will discuss the concepts. Idea आया 3 words का. Ottoman Empire was a very vast empire, and it is also known as Turkish Empire, and it was capturing vast areas, the areas, okay, of Central Europe, okay, southern Central Europe, and there were also many other areas that were under the control of Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire नॉर्थ अफ्रीका के भी कुछ एरियाज को कंट्रोल करता था, वेस्टर्न यूरोप के भी कुछ एरियाज को कंट्रोल करता था, ईस्टर्न यूरोप के भी कुछ एरियाज को कंट्रोल करता था. ठीक है ना? द सेम कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल वाज द सेंटर. नाउ आई विल कम टू द बोर्ड वर्क हियर and we will try to understand the concepts. Okay, these maps we don't need to remember this map entirely, only we need to develop a basic idea. Okay, now I am coming to the essence of this entire thing. What was happening in Europe? Okay, so look here, what was happening in Europe? So I am writing here Western Europe. I am writing here Western Europe. Here I am writing Eastern Roman Empire. ऐसे लिख लो, Eastern Roman Empire and Western Roman Empire. Write this, Eastern Roman Empire and Western Roman Empire. Eastern Roman Empire and Western Roman Empire. Okay. Now, what is happening in Eastern Roman Empire? Gradually, what happened in Western Roman Empire and what happened in Eastern Roman Empire? This we need to understand. तो देखो, पूरे रोमन एम्पायर का सेंटर इन एंशिएंट टाइम्स the center of this Roman Empire was west. ये west में था. And second third century AD, it was divided into west and east, and here Constantinople became center of east. ईस्ट का सेंटर क्या हो गया? कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल. अच्छा, सेकेंड से थर्ड सेंचुरी एडी जो है, दिस इज समवॉट नियर टू दिस पीरियड 500 एडी. इसके आसपास ही तो है. मतलब एग्जैक्टली हम ईयर बाय ईयर तो नहीं चल सकते, बट सेकेंड थर्ड सेंचुरी एडी इज नियर टू 500 एडी. एंड दिस पीरियड इन यूरोप 500 एडी टू 1500 एडी, दिस पीरियड इन यूरोप इज नोन एज व्हाट? मिडेवल यूरोप. इसी को हम क्या कहते हैं? मिडेवल यूरोप. दिस इज नोन एज मिडेवल यूरोप. ठीक है. अच्छा, इसके पहले क्या है? रोमन एम्पायर. ऑब्वियस वो भी डिग्रेड हो रहा है, बट मेनली दिस पार्ट विल बी रिलेटेड टू व्हाट? एंशिएंट यूरोप. दिस पार्ट will be related to what? Ancient Europe. This part will be related to what? Medieval Europe. Okay, this was happening. Now, here also there was a state system. In ancient Europe, there was a state system, right? This state system. And here, there was monarchical state. But here, the political head and religious head both were the same. The political head and religious head both were the same. Okay, political head, religious head both were the same. It means the political head is known as king. If both are the same, it means the king was also having the divine status. If we say that the political head and religious head both are the same, it means the king was also having the divine status. Okay. Now, Christianity was also here. The religion what was Christianity. यहाँ पे religion भी क्या थी? Christianity ही थी. ठीक है. Monarchical system of state भी था. Political head, religious head both were the same. But in this phase, what we see is that the traditional Roman value system was maintained. This is the most important thing. That the traditional Roman value system was maintained. And when traditional Roman value system will be maintained, it means, okay, there will be individualism to some extent, right? People will use reason to some extent. That is why we are saying that the traditional Roman values were maintained. It means when we talk about literature, when we talk about painting, okay, the people were free to express themselves. There was no such rigid restrictions on those people. Okay, and due to this, what we say is that the traditional Roman value system was maintained. It means in this part we see that people were free to express themselves. People were free to express themselves. They were free to express themselves through the medium of poetry, right? Through the literature. Poetry से, literature से, right? Painting से वो अपने आप को express कर सकते हैं. The people were free to express themselves, right? And the focus of the ruler here is to promote the glory of a state. The focus of the ruler was to promote the glory of state. Ruler का focus क्या है? Promoting the glory of state. The ruler is focused on this, promoting the glory of the state. Okay, it means overall, if we say that the system was progressive or regressive, so the answer is progressive. But we are talking in context of some relative degree. आज से compare नहीं कर देना. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? We cannot compare it from today. Okay, so relatively what we see is that there was some progressiveness in this phase. Relatively there was some progressiveness in this phase. कुछ progressiveness है. Okay, and obviously any nation will glorify its history. For example, we glorify our ancient Indian history. We glorify our achievements of ancient Indian history. So in that respect, the achievements, due to looking at the achievements of this phase, This entire phase is also known as Golden Age in Europe. This entire phase is also known as Golden Age in Europe. And this is what 3600 BC to 500 AD. 3600 BC to 500 AD. This is known as Golden Age in Europe also. इसको हम क्या कह रहे हैं? Golden Age of Europe. But gradually, what will happen? The system will start eroding. And how the system will start erode? This will not happen in a single day. Right? ये कोई sudden event नहीं है. This is a gradual process. So gradually the system will start eroding. And what we say is that in this phase, what happens? The elements of medievalism in this phase, what we see is that the elements of medievalism, okay, they will start appearing. Elements of medievalism. And how we can say elements of medievalism will start appear? Okay, so the concept is very simple. Here what we see, the religion has become more dominant than before. Religion became more dominant than before. पहले से ज़्यादा religion क्या हो गया? Dominant हो गया. Right? The clergies, Catholic Church and its representatives, right? The Catholic Church and its representatives, we can also call them clergies, they gained prominence. They gained prominence. ठीक है? They accumulated huge wealth. They also accumulated huge wealth. इनके पास पैसा रुपया भी बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया. They accumulated huge wealth. Now, previously what was happening here? Political head, religious head, both are the same, and the king himself is having divine status. Now what will happen? The political head and religious head will be different, and the political head will be validated by the religious authorities. Got it? Now the clergy class or the priestly class will start giving validation to the political authority of the ruler, and in this way both of them will come together. So this change is taking place, and here what we see is that the moral validation of political authority is supported by religious authorities. The moral validation for this political authority, now it's supported by the religious authorities, that is Pope, Church and clergies. So this is what? This is a kind of cartel. एक तरह का cartel है. In this cartel what we see? Political system plus religious system. King plus Pope both will come together. Both will come together. Both will support each other. Both will validate each other. And this is what? Concentration of power. Church is also having great wealth, and the ruler himself was the political head. Okay, this is happening. And not only this, now what happens? Church will start promoting orthodox beliefs and practices. Church will start discouraging use of reason. So if your opinion will be contradictory to the opinion of the representatives of Catholic Church, in that situation, what will happen? Who will be executed by the Catholic Church? So what will happen? When you will discourage use of reason in society, so scientific temper will be promoted or scientific temper will decline. Scientific temper will decline. People will become monomath or polymath. People will become monomath. They will not become polymath. What about literature? What about painting? What about mathematics? What about astronomy? Each and everything will start declining. Got it? Because reason is one of the most important things. Okay, so here what we see is that the same use of reason was discarded. Okay, orthodox beliefs and practices of Catholic Church were promoted, and one more thing will happen here, and that is the most important thing, and that is, in technical terms, it is called manneralism. Okay, that is manners, system of manners, that I am going to discuss with you. You can write here manneralism. And this manneralism will become base for this or base or foundation for the feudal system or order. तो feudal system और order है, इसके लिए ये क्या है, this is like the base and foundation for the feudal system and order. So we need to understand this manorialism. Okay, Middle Ages. So what is manor? For example, suppose, just imagine that we all are living in cities, and due to some conditions we migrated from cities, we migrated from urban areas to the rural areas, like it happened during the COVID times. Okay, people find isolated houses कि सबसे अलग रहो तो कोरोना से इन्फेक्ट नहीं होंगे, हुआ ऐसा. So what happens here, this is the time when disease, सुबह की क्लास में बताया था, plague, bubonic plague will spread, and what will happen, thousands of people will die. Invasions are also taking place at that time, different invasions are taking place, उसको हमें अभी यहाँ जानना जरूरी नहीं है. And due to this, what will happen, the migration of people from urban centers to the rural centers. Rural centers means peripheral areas. So the people will migrate from urban centers to rural centers. The reasons are multiple. Diseases are one of the rights. Invasions are another factor. Okay, you can say that hunger, starvation. Okay, there are so many factors that people migrated. And now they migrated. For example, we are 10 families. We migrated from urban center and we reached to some peripheral areas, right? And here what we will do? We will make some smaller huts. Then we will start doing agriculture. खेती करने लगेंगे. This is also a possibility that we will domesticate some animals. कुछ animals को हम domesticate करेंगे. Gradually other people will come and settle in those areas. Got it? Now these areas are called manors. MANORS, manors. And these communities need a leader to operate. Okay, so in this way the leaders of these communities will appear. Okay, and these leaders gradually they will also emerge as feudal lords. It means the same manners in hundreds of years what will happen, ये hundreds of years का development होगा. ठीक है, जो हट्स होंगी वो किस में बदल जाएंगी, सरदार का घर महल बन जाएगा, कैसल बन जाएगा, फोर्ट बन जाएगा. मेरी बात समझ गया ना, in 200-300 years. So this, in this manner, gradually it will develop, and here you will see a castle, a fort like structure. You will also see a church. You will also see the village like settlements. You will also see the farmlands. You will also see the animal farms. तो ये हो गया मैनर, और इस मैनर को एक आदमी लीड कर रहा है, रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है. Gradually he will become the leader, he will become the feudal lord, and this feudal lord will do what? Will start exploiting the people who are living in these manors. So basically all the developments which you see here in this phase indicates the elements of medievalism, and in that context some historians have also called it as dark ages in Europe. इसको क्या कह दिया? Dark ages. It means in ancient times there was some progressiveness that was relative in nature. In medieval age what happened? There is dark age. Okay, due to the features or the characteristics we have discussed that in medieval age there is dark age. Okay, this is also called dark age. Now after this what will happen? This is 15th century AD. So generally we can write this as 14th or 15th century AD. So I am writing a time here, that is 14th or 15th century AD. Now from this period onwards we see an important development in Europe, and that development will be continued till this 17th century AD. Basically this is a never ending process, but to filter some differences the historians have divided. रेनेसा कभी खत्म होने वाली चीज नहीं है, ठीक है. The Renaissance spirit can even be seen in the youths, ठीक है, तो कभी नहीं खत्म होने वाली चीज है, but still the phase has been divided, and this phase is called the age of Renaissance in Europe. This is called the age of Renaissance in Europe. Renaissance, Renesca is the word from which this word has been originated, and Renesca means what? Rebirth. Rebirth. Rebirth in a sense also means what? Awakening. rebirth in a sense also means what? Awakening. Okay, and why we are using this word awakening now? Have you understood that before this period there was dark ages in Europe, and that's why we are using the word Renaissance for this period. ठीक है ना? And another important event that I discussed with you, that what is the marker? 1453 AD event is the marker of this incident, and that is why this fact is important in history. Like 1757 battle is the marker, right? यहीं से हम क्या पाते? Modern India historians have divided in the same way. 1453 AD, that is fall of Constantinople. Fall of Constantinople event is the marker. This is the marker. 1453 AD event is the marker, right? And what we see here is that end of medievalism, 1453 AD is the marker, and here we see what? End of medievalism. यहीं पे हम क्या देखते हैं? End of medievalism and beginning of the early modern ages, and the beginning of early modern ages. This is the beginning of early modern ages. This is end of medievalism and beginning of early modern ages. तो जो beginning of early modern ages है, the features and characteristics of this is known as Renaissance. इस सारे के सारे डेवलपमेंट को हम किस नाम से जानते हैं? We know it by the name of Renaissance. Now we have to discuss the features of this Renaissance. Features or characteristics. What happened in Renaissance? What are the core features and values of Renaissance? Ask your question, Girish. देखो, मैंने वहाँ पे एक जनरल फीचर आपको बताया, मेरी बात समझ गया ना? दिस वाज द जनरल फीचर एंड द मोस्ट डोमिनेंट फीचर. और जो मैंने टाइमलाइन आपको बताई 3600 BC टू 500 AD, इस पूरे टाइमलाइन के लिए किसी एक बात को आप एब्सोल्यूट ट्रूथ नहीं मान सकते. मेरी बात समझ गया? दैट्स वाई आई वॉज यूजिंग द वर्ड रिलेटिवली रिलेटिवली रिलेटिवली. दिस इज द रीजन. ठीक है, मैंने आपको कॉमन फीचर्स और कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स बताया. अब पूछिए. एक्चुअली देखो, बता रहा हूँ. वर्ल्ड्स एंशिएंट रिलीजन्स, आप किसको मानोगे? विच रिलीजन्स यू विल कंसीडर द वर्ल्ड्स एंशिएंट रिलीजन, एंड विच वेयर द, यू कैन से दैट फर्स्ट ग्लोबल एम्पायर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. पहला ग्लोबल एम्पायर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड कौन सा था? वॉज इट क्रिश्चियन, पर्सियन, ग्रीक्स? मेरी बात समझ गया ना? एंशिएंट इंडिया में भी हमने पढ़ा था, ठीक है, व्हेन वी वर डिस्कसिंग द हिस्ट्री सिलेबस. ओके, तो ऐसे देखा था. आपका क्वेश्चन भी क्लियर नहीं है, और मैं बहुत क्लियर जवाब भी नहीं दूंगा, क्योंकि इसके लिए बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपको बतानी पड़ जाएंगी. ठीक है ना? इतनी बात आपको समझ में आई? एंशिएंट वर्ल्ड, मिडिवल वर्ल्ड और मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड का कॉन्सेप्ट, बेसिक बात समझ में आया? वेस्टर्न यूरोप, ईस्टर्न यूरोप का कॉन्सेप्ट. वी डोंट नीड टू रिमेंबर द नेम ऑफ कंट्रीज ऑल्सो, वो भी याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ओनली वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द जनरल आइडिया, उतनी चीज़ों को जानना है. यहाँ भी अब हम जनरल आइडिया पे चलेंगे, राइट? एंड व्हाट इज दैट? रेनेसा इन यूरोप, रेनेस कर, rebirth, reawakening, right? 17th century. Now, how to identify Renaissance? What are the major characteristics or features of Renaissance? So, write this point: characteristics or features of Renaissance period. This we need to discuss. Characteristics and features of Renaissance period. Characteristics and features of Renaissance or Age of Enlightenment period. Okay. Now, can you answer? Can you give some points here? Renaissance कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर्स, कुछ पॉइंट्स बता सकते हो? बताओ, फिर मैं आगे डिस्कस करूंगा. व्हाट शुड बी द, एग्जैक्टली, दैट इज वन पॉइंट एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. द अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट हियर इज दैट यूज ऑफ रीजन वाज इनकरेज. ठीक है, अदर पॉइंट्स देखो. पहले जो आपने डार्क एजेस में पॉइंट्स पढ़े, ठीक है, उन्हीं में क्या होगा? सुधार आएगा, रिफॉर्म्स आएंगे. तो पॉइंट्स को ऐसे रिलेट करना है, जैसे आई एम सेइंग that in dark ages what happened? Cultural advancement was in progress or it stopped? Cultural advancement stopped. तो रेनेसा में क्या होगा, कल्चरल एडवांसमेंट विल बी promoted. So write the first feature, Renaissance. What will happen here? Write this: promotion of cultural advancement. Promotion of cultural advancement. Promotion of cultural advancement. ठीक है, कल्चरल एडवांसमेंट का प्रमोशन। जैसे इसका सबसे पॉपुलर एग्जांपल क्या है? राइट एग्जांपल इज व्हाट? रिवाइवल ऑफ एंशिएंट रोमन एंड ग्रीक लिटरेचर. दैट इज द मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंट एग्जांपल. That is revival of ancient Roman and Greek literature. This will happen, right? Revival of ancient Greek and Roman literature. So we are talking about culture, and the manifestation can be seen in many things. Here we are talking about what? Literature. Literature की भी बात कर रहे हैं. अच्छा, लिटरेचर में क्या होगा? फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. व्हेन इट विल बी प्रोमोटेड, it means we are promoting use of reason. So write this: promotion of use of reason. Promotion of use of reason. And this will also promote scientific temperament. Promotion of use of reason. This will also promote scientific temperament. ये scientific temperament को भी promote करेगा, right? This will also promote scientific temperament, right? Next point: painting, sculpture, mathematics. Painting, sculpture, mathematics. Painting, sculpture, mathematics, literature. Literature, okay. बहुत सारे नेम है. फ्रांसिस बेकन इज द नेम, राइट? यू कैन से शेक्सपियर इज द नेम, ओके. ही रोट प्लेज, ट्रेजेडीज, मैकबेथ और ये सारी चीज़ें. ये सब कब हो रहा था? रेनेसा वाले पीरियड में ही हो रहा था. And that is one of the most important thing, right? A painter was also free to express the ideas which he want to paint. ठीक है? So that is the most important point here. I will not enter into more detail because we need to know the basic meanings here only, right? तो यहाँ पे हम GS में बहुत डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे, right? You are not entering into the details. ठीक है? Now, when use of reason will be promoted, what will happen? Individualism will also be promoted to some extent. It means as an individual, you will get the opportunity to develop all the traits of your personality. This will happen, okay? And that is the most important thing, right? This as an individual, as an individual, as an individual, right? One will get the opportunity to develop all the traits of his or her personality. Now there are two concepts here. One concept is the concept of monomath, and another concept is the concept of polymath. Okay, so this polymath are the features or traits of the Renaissance man. Renaissance man. Polymath is the feature or traits of a Renaissance man. ठीक है? आप polymath कब बनोगे? जब आपके ऊपर से रिस्ट्रिक्शंस क्या होते चले जाएंगे? कम होते चले जाएंगे. जैसे मोनोमैथ. Monomath simply means what? A specialist. For example, okay, that if I know history and if I can teach only history, it means that I am a monomath. Okay, I am not discovering or exploring other areas. And why I am not discovering and exploring other areas? Because if I am bound by an organization where I have to teach only history, so I will teach only history, right? But if I will explore myself, I can teach other subjects also, right? If you can explore yourself, you want to become a civil servant, but at the same time you can be a cyber expert, you can be a good photographer, okay? You can develop many traits in your personality, and these are the features or characteristics of the Renaissance men. We should have generalized skills in many areas instead of being a specialist of a particular domain only. हमारे पास generalized skills होने चाहिए, and we should try to develop our skills. हमें skills को क्या करना है? Develop भी करने की कोशिश करनी है. So this spirit was being promoted during Renaissance period. For example, have you heard the name of Leonardo da Vinci? Okay. अब लियोनार्डो दा विंसी के बारे में क्या? हाँ, तो हाँ, तो जैसे आप कभी गूगल सर्च करके पढ़ना उसके बारे में, क्योंकि जीएस में टॉपिक है ही नहीं तो मैं बहुत डिटेल में नहीं जा रहा हूँ। लियोनार्डो द विंसी वॉज अ मैथमेटिशियन ऑल्सो, ठीक है, ही वॉज अ पेंटर ऑल्सो, ठीक है, वो पोएट भी था, उसके अंदर बहुत सारे कैरेक्टर्स थे, राइट। तो दैट मीन्स ही वॉज अ पोलीमैथ, वो पोलीमैथ था। दूसरा एग्जाम्पल जिससे आप ज़्यादा बेटर समझोगे, वो मेरा फेवरेट एक्टर है, वो है टॉम क्रूज, मिशन इम्पॉसिबल मूवी में एथन हंट, ठीक है। आप अलग अलग सीरीज में देखो, एक आदमी के अंदर कितनी सारी खूबियां हैं, वैसे उन खूबियों को प्रैक्टिकली आजमाना नहीं है, ठीक है। हेलो जंपिंग, कार रेसिंग, बाइक राइडिंग, ठीक है, साइबर एक्सपर्ट, गुड फाइटर, फेस मास्क वास्क लगा लेता है, चार्मिंग है, रोमांटिक है, कई सारे उसके उसके अंदर क्वालिटीज़ हैं। तो बनना वैसे है बट एकदम वैसा नहीं बन जाना, वो फिल्म है, राइट। तो यू शुड ट्राई टू बी वॉट, अ पोलीमैथ, you should never stop learning. Okay, that is one of the most important thing, that we should acquire what, practical skills. We should always try to acquire practical skills. हमें हमेशा practical skills सीखनी चाहिए, right. We should make our best effort to remain or stayed informed. मैं बार बार बता रहा हूँ, we are misinformed and we should make our best effort to stay informed. It means we should have the valid information or knowledge. तो हमें इसके लिए भी कोशिश करनी चाहिए, we should stay informed, हमें informed भी होना चाहिए, right. We should never stop learning. We should have the knowledge of multiple fields. Multitasking is a good thing, okay. We should be a multitasker like Leonardo da Vinci. He was a painter also, he was a sculptor also, he was a mathematician also, he was a botanist also, he invented prototypes of flying machines also, ठीक है। तो जो कितना टैलेंटेड था लियोनार्डो दा विंसी, ओके, दैट इज रेनेसा मैन। इससे भी पूछा जा सकता है रेनेसा मैन में आपके एग्जाम में, तो पहले तो आपको रेनेसा मैन का पता होना चाहिए, देन यू कैन रिलेट इट विथ, ओके, डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट। सो दैट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ रेनेसा मैन एंड दैट इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट contribution or teaching of the Renaissance period. Okay, so write this Renaissance man. That is one of the most important teaching characteristics or the feature. Renaissance man. Now, I will discuss other features of this Renaissance period and that are very interesting. Other features. Whatever I am discussing will be helpful in many other topics that we'll discuss later. ठीक है, पहले ही कुछ कॉमन चीज़ों को समझ लेते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वॉट वॉज हैपनिंग, देखो, in dark ages or medieval ages, what was happening, the church was promoting orthodoxy. Now there are two words here. One word is this worldism, one word is this worldism. बोर तो नहीं हो रहे हो ना आप लोग, कहोगे कि ये कैसा टीचर है, अभी तो टॉपिक शुरू ही नहीं हुआ, दूसरा दिन निकलने जा रहा है. We will use all the concepts in the topics, ठीक है ना. This worldism and the second is that worldism. Second word is that worldism. That worldism. अच्छा, कुछ बच्चे खुश हो जाते हैं कि टीचर ने कहा कि वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री 10 दिन में खत्म हो जाएगी, आई विल फिनिश वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री इन 10 डेज. भाई टीचर कैन फिनिश इन 7 डेज ऑल्सो, बट इससे आपको खुश नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो आपने नहीं फिनिश किया है. किसने किया है? टीचर ने किया है. तो कम क्लासेस आर नॉट इन द बेनिफिट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स, ठीक है. यू विल गेट मोर क्लासेस, यू विल रीड मोर, इज अ सिंपल आइडिया, ठीक है. और मैं ये नहीं कहता 21 ईयर्स में IAS बन जाना है, 22 में बन जाओ, ठीक है, लेकिन तनाव मत लो, ठीक है. चलो, दिस वर्ल्डिज्म, दैट वर्ल्डिज्म. कैन यू एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज दिस वर्ल्डिज्म एंड व्हाट इज दैट वर्ल्डिज्म? कुछ गेस करो, कैन यू एक्सप्लेन? दैट वर्ल्डिज्म इज very good, utopian idea, the concept of heaven and hell. Now, who was promoting this that worldism? Catholic Church and its representatives were promoting that worldism. They were saying that we are the representatives of God. ठीक है, लगातार एयरटेल के नेटवर्क पे हमारी उनसे बात होती रहती है. वी आर इन द कॉन्टेक्ट विथ गॉड. तो कोई भी सवाल पूछना है हमसे पूछो, और बाकी हम दूसरे गोले से संपर्क करके तुमको बता देंगे इसका आंसर क्या है। यही क्या है, दैट वर्ल्डिज्म। जैसे इन मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री वेयर यू सी दैट वर्ल्डिज्म, फॉर एग्जाम्पल प्रैक्टिस ऑफ कस्टम ऑफ सती प्रोमोटिंग दिस वर्ल्डिज्म और दैट वर्ल्डिज्म, किस चीज को प्रोमोट कर रहा है? एग्जैक्टली, because this custom says that when a woman who is widow, if she will be burnt along with the pyre of her husband, what will happen? She will be treated as goddess. बहुत बढ़िया भाई. When she decides to remain alive, when she decides not to become sati, so widows were living a very pitiable condition in the society, Indian society. सुबह सुबह आप पता चले यूपीएससी का इंटरव्यू देने जा रहे हो और आपने विडो को देख लिया, तो कहोगे यार मैं फेल इसी वजह से हुआ हूँ. इस तरह की गंदी वाली मेंटालिटी थी. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? द वेरी फर्स्ट साइट ऑफ द विडोज वाज नॉट कंसीडर्ड ऑस्पिशियस इन द सोसाइटी, ओके, एंड दे वेयर compelled to live in some separated isolations inside the campus, and there were a lot of restrictions which you might all be knowing. अब सबको पता होगा. So if the women decides to live in this world, she had to suffer, she had to live a very pitiable life. But if she decides to opt for sati, what will happen? The society will treat her like goddess. And the women, they were psychologically brainwashed. They think that better we should opt to become, to be a goddess. So they themselves were opting for this custom of sati. Okay, and when you will read about the detailed narration कि कैसे ये custom होता था, okay, तो फिर पढ़ के डर लग जाएगा आपको. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? So the custom of sati was promoting that worldism. Women will become sati, right? She will be treated as goddess in that world. Okay, in this world she is not getting respect. So this is what concept of that worldism. This worldism क्या है? You should treat women with respect. You should give women their rights. You should treat them equally in this world. This is what this worldism. This is what humanism, not to discriminate on the basis of gender. ठीक है? That is what this worldism. तो वहां क्या हो रहा था यूरोप में? That worldism was promoted. Church was promoting that worldism, and this that worldism is not in the welfare of the commoners. That worldism कभी भी commoners के welfare में नहीं होता. This is a what? Faith-based system or order. When we talk about that worldism is what? Faith-based system or order. Okay? This is not a reason-based system or order. This is a faith-based system or order. So this all was having. Okay? Right. The life of the commoners was very much pitiable. The life of the commoners was very much pitiable. ऐसा क्यों था? बताओ. Individual rights were granted or promoted in medieval ages or not? No. ठीक है, state was powerful. तो एक तो individualism को importance नहीं था. दूसरा क्या था कि the church was also putting restrictions on the lives of the common masses. उनके ऊपर प्रतिबंध चर्च भी लगा रहा था. चर्च वॉज ऑल्सो पुटिंग रिस्ट्रिक्शंस, और ये अच्छा नहीं है. दिस इज नॉट गुड. ओके, द कॉमनर्स आर अंडर रिस्ट्रिक्शंस, अंडर सेंसर. सो दिस वाज हैपनिंग. सो राइट दिस. ओके, द रेनेसा में क्या होगा? द डिमांड टू रिफॉर्म चर्च फ्रॉम विद इन, द डिमांड टू ब्रिंग रिफॉर्म्स इन द प्रैक्टिसेस ऑफ चर्च. दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर. द डिमांड टू ब्रिंग रिफॉर्म in the practices of church. This is this worldism. If I say that humanism was another important feature, humanism, it is important or not? Okay, yes, humanism was another important feature of this Renaissance period. And what is humanism? The human beings should be in the center of all kind of development. Whatever the parameters you are fixing for the society, you are fixing for the religion. Okay, one basic criteria should be to test it on this basis that it is good for the humans or not to discriminate between the humans also. That is what the idea of humanism. And this all was the feature or characteristic of, right, individualism. This was also the feature or characteristic of Renaissance. Humanism, individualism, all these were the features or characteristics of Renaissance. राइट। और सबसे बड़ी चीज कि रेनेसा ने किस चीज को प्रमोट किया? यूज ऑफ रीजन, प्रोग्रेसिव आइडियाज। एंड ड्यूरिंग दिस फेज ऑफ रेनेसा व्हाट विल हैपन? प्रिंटिंग प्रेस विल कम, एंड प्रिंटिंग प्रेस विल बी हेल्पफुल इन द प्रमोशन ऑफ दीज आइडियाज। आइडियाज के प्रमोशन में किसका हेल्प हो जाएगा? प्रिंटिंग प्रेस। तो यू कैन ऑल्सो रिमेंबर द रोल ऑफ प्रिंटिंग प्रेस in the promotion of these ideas. That is also very much important. Role of printing press is also important. Painting में क्या होगा? Painting with scientific temper, right? Painters are free to express themselves. Okay, they can also draw the themes from the Bible, right? ये बहुत बड़ी बात है कि painters can draw the themes from the Bible. Okay, they can narrate the themes also in their own way. That is one of the most important thing here. Okay, so that is the most important thing, and this was happening during the Renaissance period. एक सबसे important development है Renaissance period का, that is development in the field of astronomy. And with the help of this you can easily understand this entire process, that what is Renaissance. For example, okay, देखो क्या है, church had some principles or beliefs, and church believed in geocentric theory. For example, Ptolemy, read this, the name Ptolemy, ये बहुत ही famous example है. Ptolemy gave a theory, and that is geocentric theory. This example is very famous, what I am discussing with you, geocentric theory. And geo here means what? Earth. And it means what? That Earth is in the center of this universe, right? And all other celestial bodies are moving around this Earth. That is the geocentric theory. This was given by Ptolemy, that Earth is in the center of universe. Earth is in the center of universe. Ptolemy gave this theory, Earth is in the center of universe, and all other celestial bodies are revolving around this Earth. Okay, अर्थ वॉज स्टेशनरी. टॉलमी ने क्या कहा कि अर्थ अपनी जगह पे है, अर्थ इज स्टेशनरी, अर्थ इज स्टेशनरी, अर्थ इज इन द सेंटर ऑफ यूनिवर्स. ओके, नाउ द सेम प्रिंसिपल और बिलीफ वॉज सपोर्टेड बाई बाइबल ऑल्सो. So this idea was in sync with the cosmological practices and beliefs of Bible. This idea was in sync with the cosmological practices and beliefs of Bible. This idea was in sync with the cosmological practices and beliefs of Bible. अब बताओ, बाइबल को इससे ऑब्जेक्शन है इस आइडिया से? यस और नो? नो, बाइबल को कोई ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं. बाइबल भी वही मानती, कैथोलिक चर्च भी वही मान रहा था जो टॉलेमी ने कहा था. तो यहां तक तो कोई बात नहीं है. बट रेनेसा विल डू व्हाट? रेनेसा विल प्रमोट साइंटिफिक टेम्पर. अब साइंटिफिक टेम्पर आएगा तो दिस माइट बी पॉसिबल दैट गिरीस विल बिकम पाइथागोरस. गिरीस पाइथागोरस हो जाएंगे. नाउ ही विल स्टार्ट डूइंग रिसर्च, ये अपना रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. नाउ द नेक्स्ट थियरी विल कम. अगली थियरी क्यों आएगी? क्योंकि यूज ऑफ रीजन इज बीइंग प्रोमोटेड ड्यू टू रेनेसा. अगर रेनेसा नहीं आया होता तो पाइथागोरस भी नहीं आया होता. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? So what will happen here? The next theory will come here, and that is what? Pythagoras. Pythagoras. And again we are talking about Pythagoras was a Greek scientist, and he gave a theory, that is heliocentric theory. He gave a theory, and this theory is known as heliocentric theory. ये पाइथागोरस की theory होगी, heliocentric theory. And heliocentric theory says what? That the sun is in the center of universe. Sun is in the center of universe. This is heliocentric theory. Universe के center में कौन है? Sun है. Now tell me, is it in contradiction with Ptolemy's theory? Yes. क्या इससे कैथोलिक चर्च अथॉरिटीज के पेट में दर्द होगा? Yes. They will not be happy because the idea is not in sync with cosmological practices and beliefs of Bible. तो इसने इतना बताया कि sun is in the center of universe. अब use of reason was promoted. फिर आएगा कोपरनिकस, he will give his idea. ये कहा जाता है कि ideas promoter है. तो what will happen here? Copernicus will come. Copernicus will come. and Copernicus will say that the Ptolemy's theory is wrong. सीधे सीधे कह दिया. And if you are saying that Ptolemy's theory is wrong, what does it mean? You have rejected the cosmological practices and beliefs of Bible. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. Ptolemy's theory is wrong, and he says that heliocentric theory is correct. Sun is in the center of universe. And he adds one more thing. And what he adds, he says that the other planets move in circular orbits around the sun. What he says? That the other planets move in circular orbits around the sun. दूसरे planets circular orbits में घूमते हैं. आप बताओ कोपरनिकस सही कह रहा था या गलत कह रहा था, जल्दी बताओ. The other planets move in circular orbits around the sun. ठीक है. और इलिप्टिकल ऑर्बिट क्या होता है? ज्योग्राफी पढ़े हो ना. सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट होगा कि इलिप्टिकल ऑर्बिट होगा? इलिप्टिकल ऑर्बिट. इट्स नॉट सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट. होगा ना. तो देखो, यानी कि यहां जो देखो कोपरनिकस जो बात बता रहा है, एक बात तो सही है. ही इज एग्री विथ व्हाट? हेलियोसेंट्रिक थ्योरी इज सेइंग दैट सन इज इन द सेंटर ऑफ यूनिवर्स, बट ही इज सेइंग दैट व्हाट ही इज सेइंग? ही इज सेइंग दैट the other planets move in circular orbit. This is not true. ये गलत है. तो फिर कौन आता है? Kepler. The another thinker will come, Kepler. So read this, Kepler. And Kepler will say that Copernicus theory is good, heliocentric theory is correct. Heliocentric theory सही है, but इसमें उसने एक बात ऐड करी. कहा कि the other planets move around the sun not in circular orbit, but they move around the sun in elliptical orbit. They move around the sun in elliptical orbit. वो elliptical orbit में move कर रहे हैं. मेरी बात समझ गए? अब आप एक बात बताओ, ये फैक्ट अब भूल जाओ थोड़ी देर के लिए, और आप बताओ द ट्रूथ हियर इज एब्सोल्यूट और रिलेटिव. एब्सोल्यूट का मतलब जो एकदम सच है, उसमें कोई बदलाव नहीं हो सकता. ट्रूथ इज रिलेटिव. और ट्रूथ को हमेशा क्या होना चाहिए? रिलेटिव ही होना चाहिए. बाइबल क्या कर रहा था? दैट द ट्रूथ इज एब्सोल्यूट. जो हमने कह दिया वही सही है. कॉस्मोलॉजिकल प्रैक्टिसेस एंड बिलीफ्स आर एब्सोल्यूट. रेनेसा में क्या हो रहा है? यूज ऑफ रीजन इज बीइंग प्रोमोटेड, एंड नाउ द पीपल रियलाइज दैट द ट्रूथ इज नॉट एब्सोल्यूट. ट्रूथ इज रिलेटिव. ठीक है. और ट्रूथ रिलेटिव है. दिस विल प्रोमोट व्हाट? कल्चर ऑफ टॉलरेंस और कल्चर ऑफ इनटॉलरेंस. कल्चर ऑफ टॉलरेंस. क्लियर? दिस विल प्रोमोट द साइंटिफिक टेम्पर इन द सोसाइटी. इससे सोसाइटी में क्या होगा? साइंटिफिक टेम्पर डेवलप होगा. दिस इज द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ रेनेसा पीरियड. ठीक है. इन अदर फेजेस, इन अदर फील्ड्स आल्सो डेवलपमेंट विल टेक प्लेस. तो ये बात आप समझ गए ना? ओके. बहुत सारे डेवलपमेंट्स हैं, कल्चर और ये सारी चीजें, बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं जिसमें डेवलपमेंट हमें देखने को मिलता है. राइट? तो हैव यू गॉट दिस आइडिया? ह्यूमन वैल्यूज. राइट दिस. ह्यूमन वैल्यूज विल बी प्रोमोटेड. The people will start taking interest in the activities of nature. Human values will be promoted. The people will start taking interest in the activities of nature. Poetry and philosophy will evolve. Poetry and philosophy will evolve. ठीक है? Relative truth. There is nothing absolute. For example, there is a philosophy, existentialist philosophy. And what does this philosophy says? इस philosophy की एक बात जो सबसे शानदार है वो क्या है कि there is a difference between object and individuals. दोनों में एक proper difference होता है. For example, what is the role of this marker? इस marker का role क्या है? बताओ. To write, लिखना. This is the role of the marker. What is the role of a knife? चाकू का क्या role है? Cutting vegetables, or मतलब ऐसा. It means the role of an object is fixed. But nowadays what is happening? We are fixing the role of individuals also. जैसे आप सबने अपना रोल फिक्स कर लिया है कि जीवन में क्या करना है? IAS बनना है. फिक्स कर लिया? गलत किया. You are an individual. It is good that I want to become an IAS in my life, but this might be a possibility that after IAS I may become a founder of a company. I may become a minister, I may become chief minister, I may become prime minister. तो मैं अपने जीवन में अपना स्वरूप क्यों तय करूं? It is not needed. If you will do that, you will get tensed. वो आपको अचीव ही नहीं हुआ, फिर आप परेशान हो गए, भागते दौड़ते रहे जिंदगी में, तो वो नहीं करना है, ठीक है ना। वी कैन हैव मल्टीपल रोल्स, ओके, in our life, and we should always be ready to accept it in a positive manner. Once I also wanted to be IAS, I did not become, I accepted the role of a teacher, और कितने दिन टीचिंग करूंगा ये भी नहीं जानता हूँ, ठीक है। So I am ready for the next career also. So we should never do that. We should never do objectification of our personality, which we are doing. What is objectification of women? The same thing. We should not do that, right? So here what is happening, that the human nature, poetry, right, each and everything is being promoted. This all is happening. Then now there are a lot of you can say that personalities who are important personalities during this Renaissance period, okay. Francis Bacon is there, Shakespeare is there, okay. एक पेट्रार्क भी है जिसने मिडिवल एजेस को डार्क एजेस कहा था, जॉन मिल्टन इज देयर, मार्टिन लूथर is there are a lot of people here, okay. This all will happen. Now the people will, now the here important thinkers and philosophers of this period will say that if the truth must be verified, ट्रूथ को हमें क्या करना चाहिए, वेरीफाई भी करना चाहिए. इफ समवन सेज दैट दिस इज द ट्रूथ, सो वी मस्ट डू इट, व्हाट, वी मस्ट वेरीफाई इट. मेरी बात समझ गए. अब इसके आगे मैं इसमें एंटर नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं, लिटरेचर है, स्कल्पचर है, फिजिक्स है, मैथमेटिक्स है, मेटलर्जी है, केमिस्ट्री है, राइट, पेंटिंग है. There are a lot of things here. Now I hope you have got the idea about the Renaissance, that it is promoting what, progressive ideas. It is encouraging the youth to develop all traits of their personality. It is encouraging the youth to ask the questions why. It is encouraging the youth that you must find, you must do what, you must validate the truth by experiments. Empirical methods में यकीन करना सीखो. Okay, so this all will change the entire scenario. There are demands that there must be improvements in the church, reforms in church from within. So there are a lot of demands going on during this phase of Renaissance. Is it clear? Now there is another phase that is called Age of Enlightenment. That is called Age of Enlightenment. Okay, so the developments during this time period, 17th and 18th century. देखो, this is the later phase or development of the Renaissance period itself. तो Renaissance का जो later phase है, right, this is, okay, this is later phase or stage of Renaissance, okay, or you can say that this is the second part of the development of Renaissance. Renaissance का ही अगला हिस्सा है, right. The next point, that Age of Enlightenment was an intellectual, Age of Enlightenment was an intellectual, it was an intellectual, philosophical, cultural and social movement. It was an intellectual, philosophical, social and cultural movement. Intellectual, philosophical, social and cultural movement. Now tell me, the previous features will be continued or not? जो पहले पढ़ा वो यहाँ कंटिन्यू होगा कि नहीं? So right, all the previous features will be continued. All the previous features will be continued. All the previous features will be continued. But the most important features here are, यहाँ पे भी सबसे important feature क्या हो जाएगा? One feature will be reason. Age of Enlightenment period में. The another important feature will be natural law. The another important feature will be natural law. Okay. The another important feature is, right, humanism. Humanism. ये सब एज ऑफ एनलाइटमेंट एज के इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर है. ह्यूमनिज्म, इंडिविजुअलिज्म, ह्यूमनिज्म, इंडिविजुअलिज्म. Another important feature is relativism. There are others also, but these words we generally find while reading the books. So I will discuss the meaning of these words. That's why I am discussing with you. One is what? Reason. Reason, the meaning you have already have understood now, that when we start asking questions, okay, to know the real truth, that what is the real truth. So that is what? Reason. Man has the ability to think. Man has the ability to ask question, and this should not be restricted. इस पे कभी पाबंदी नहीं लगनी चाहिए. If 10 lakh people are saying, okay, that this marker is black and one person is saying that this marker is white, we should listen to that one person also. हो सकता है 10 लाख लोगों की आंख में कोई बीमारी हो, ये भी पॉसिबल है. So we should listen to one person also. Okay, so man has the ability to think. ठीक है. Now second is point is what? Natural law. Can you explain what is natural law? यहाँ पे क्या है natural law? This is naturalism also. This is also an important feature and characteristic of the age of enlightenment period. Girish, what is natural law? मैं एक रिक्शे वाला हूँ, समझाओ व्हाट इज नेचुरल. मैं टीचर नहीं हूँ, बताओ क्या है नेचुरल. थ्री इडियट्स के रेंचो की तरह समझाओ. और पेड़ से सेब नीचे गिरा, पता नहीं कितनी बार गिरा. मेरी बात समझ गया? किसी ने नहीं सोचने की कोशिश की कि आखिर ये नीचे ही क्यों गिर रहा है. न्यूटन गया, न्यूटन ने देखा, उसने रिसर्च करना शुरू किया कि ये सेब नीचे ही क्यों गिर रहा है. एंड इन दिस वे न्यूटन केम विथ हिज लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन. ठीक है, मेरी बात समझ गया? तो नेचुरल लॉ का मतलब होता है कि वी ट्राई टू फाइंड, ओके, एन ऑब्जेक्टिव ट्रुथ, अ क्राइटेरिया इन द फेनोमेना ऑफ नेचर ऑल्सो. यहाँ पे भी हम उस चीज को फाइंड कर सकते हैं. और जब हम ऐसा करेंगे, व्हेन विल डिस्कवर नेचुरल लॉ, व्हाट विल हैपन? वी कैन मेक साइंटिफिक प्रोग्रेस, वी कैन हार्नेस नेचर फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ ह्यूमन काइंड. डैम बना दिया आपने. कैसे बना दिया? आपने एक नेचुरल लॉ को समझा. मेरी बात समझ गया? सी वॉइसेस हो रहा है, आपने एक नेचुरल लॉ को समझा, मॉनसून के पैटर्न को समझा. So this natural law is also a symbol of what? Progressiveness. This is a scientific approach. Natural law is what? A scientific approach. This is based on reason. ये किस पे based है? Reason पे based है. Just you believe that this entire universe is a big machine. Okay? And how this machine is functioning. You started thinking कि आज बारिश हुई तो क्यों हो गई? आज ही क्यों हो गई? ठीक है, साल के कुछ महीनों में ही बारिश क्यों होती है? When you start thinking like that, you are thinking that the entire universe is like a big machine, and we are trying to understand that how the universe is expressing itself, how the objects of this universe are expressing themselves. And in this way, okay, we will use our reason and we will come at a conclusion. And this is the reason that, for example, one example, famous example is Newton gave his law of ग्रेविटेशन. दैट इज अ नेचुरल लॉ. और ये नेचुरल लॉ कहीं नहीं बदलेगा. ऐसा नहीं कि इंडिया में सेब पेड़ से नीचे गिरेगा और अमेरिका में ऊपर की तरफ चला जाएगा. नहीं, हर जगह वो सेब कहाँ गिरेगा? पेड़ से नीचे ही आएगा. ठीक है. नाउ नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज व्हाट? ह्यूमनिज्म. एंड व्हाट इज ह्यूमनिज्म? राइट दिस पॉइंट दैट, देखो, ह्यूमन मीन्स ह्यूमन बींग्स. ह्यूमन बींग, सलमान खान का ब्रांड, बीइंग ह्यूमन. ह्यूमन मीन्स ह्यूमन बींग्स. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? ह्यूमन बींग्स, देखो, right, the objective of all the developments, the objective of all the development and the progress should be to ensure, the objective of all the development or progress should be, the objective of all the developments or the progresses should be to ensure the benefit of mankind, to ensure the benefit of mankind, human beings, without any discrimination, without any discrimination, without any discrimination. That is humanism. वही है humanism. ठीक है. If there is any custom, that custom must address what? The welfare of human being. अगर वो नहीं एड्रेस कर रहा है वेलफेयर ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग, तब वो क्या हो जाएगा? दैट इज अगेंस्ट द आइडिया ऑफ ह्यूमनिज्म. जैसे कस्टम ऑफ सती, ओके, विडो, नॉट अलाउिंग विडो टू रीमैरी. ये क्या है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल अनटचेबिलिटी, दिस इज नॉट इन सिंक विद द. तो ऐसे हर पैरामीटर से किसी चीज को आप देख सकते हो कि वो ह्यूमनिज्म है कि नहीं. इट मीन्स व्हाट? एनीथिंग दैट प्रमोट्स, राइट, नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, राइट, एनीथिंग दैट प्रमोट्स ह्यूमन डिग्निटी, ह्यूमन liberty, human welfare, anything that promotes human dignity, human liberty, human welfare, anything that promotes human dignity, human liberty, human welfare, okay, human dignity, human liberty, human welfare, Okay, right, next point, anything that rejects, sorry, anything that rejects, okay, that rejects any institution or any idea or any cultural practice, that is, that rejects any idea, any institution or any cultural practice that is against the benefit of ह्यूमन बींग्स. ठीक है, कोई भी ऐसी चीज, अनटचेबिलिटी है, स्लेवरी है, हम इन सबको क्या कहते हैं, एंटी ह्यूमन. वाई वी कॉल इट एंटी ह्यूमन? क्योंकि ह्यूमन प्रोग्रेस और ह्यूमन बेनिफिट्स के खिलाफ ही है. दिस इज व्हाट एंटी ह्यूमन, ये सब एंटी ह्यूमन है. ओके, सबऑर्डिनेशन ऑफ वुमेन, दिस इज ऑल्सो एंटी ह्यूमन. ठीक है, ये सब एंटी ह्यूमन है. नाउ द नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट, इंडिविजुअलिज्म. इंडिविजुअलिज्म क्या है? सो देयर आर टू एंटिटीज, वन इज स्टेट एंड द सेकंड इज इंडिविजुअल. मेरी बात समझ गया? और इन दोनों के बीच में लड़ाई चलती रहती है. स्टेट क्या कोशिश करता है कि स्टेट के राइट्स बढ़ जाए, और जब स्टेट के राइट्स बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाएंगे तो वो किसको एनक्रोच करेंगे, इंडिविजुअल राइट्स को. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? तो देखो क्या क्या मतलब है यहाँ पे कि इंडिविजुअलिज्म मीन्स एज इंडिविजुअल, एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग, वी हैव सम इनबॉर्न राइट्स एज एन इंडिविजुअल एंड वी मस्ट नीड दीज राइट्स टू बी एक्नॉलेज्ड. दैट इज इंडिविजुअलिज्म. ठीक है, यही क्या है, इंडिविजुअलिज्म है, इंडिविजुअल राइट्स है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ह्यूमन राइट्स, ये इंडिविजुअल राइट्स. फंडामेंटल राइट्स, ये क्या है, इंडिविजुअल राइट्स है. एंड दीज इंडिविजुअल राइट्स ऑल्सो प्रोटेक्ट अस फ्रॉम द टायरनी ऑफ द स्टेट. मिडिवल एजेस में टायरनी ऑफ द स्टेट भी था, तो हम इंडिविजुअल राइट्स की बात करेंगे. ठीक है, कि वी हैव द राइट टू डिटरमाइन अबाउट आवर ओन लाइफ. हमें हमारे जीवन के बारे में तय करने का अधिकार है. चर्च के अथॉरिटीज घर में घुस के ये न डिसाइड करें कि हमें कैसा जीवन जीना है. मेरी बात समझ गए? सो इन दैट केस दिस इज व्हाट, इंडिविजुअलिज्म. ठीक है, ये हम तय कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, what should be our method of worshipping, how we should live, this all is individualism. And what is relativism? I have already discussed. Relativism क्या है? Our beliefs are relative, our cultural practices and systems are relative, relatively true. Our value system is relatively true. And when you believe this, what will happen? Culture of tolerance will be promoted, secular aspects will be promoted, multiculturalism will be promoted. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? For example, if you say that my religion is the only true religion, दुनिया के बाकी सारे धर्म झूठ हैं, it means this is not relativism. ये relativism नहीं है. You are believing in absolutism. So what is the you can say that opposite word for this relativism, that is absolutism. If I say that my God is the only God, my religion is the only religion that is true, it means I am believing in absolutism. But if I say that I believe in the God which I worship, I believe in the religion which I follow, but I also believe that the God which you worship and the religion which you are following, that is also good. Your God is also okay, true. My God is also true. There is no any contradiction in this. So this will promote what? A kind of thought that is also known as religious universalism. So these ideas and these values are very much important. Got it? So this will happen. And now the most important thing is that during this age of enlightenment period, what we will see is that there will be conflict between different kind of ideas. और जब ideas में conflict होगा तो क्या होगा? New ideas will be generated. For example, people will start doing discussions. Which political system is good? Despotism is good? Autocratic system or monarchical system is good? Or we should introduce any new state system where there must be a decentralization of power? If there will be decentralization of power, which kind of decentralization we need? What could be the alternative of this monarchical system and practices? Montesquieu आके कहेगा separation of power करो सबसे पहले. Montesquieu gives this idea of separation of power. The legislative, executive and judiciary, the powers should be separated from each other, and this will be the beginning of responsible and responsive governance. ये है age of enlightenment period का idea. I have already discussed with you that merchant capitalism, this idea became the economic theory of the states at one point of time, and Adam Smith will come and he will say that no, this is not good. Putting restrictions, interference of state in the economic activities is not good. The state should not interfere in the natural demand and supply law, right? State को interfere नहीं करना चाहिए. And Adam Smith gives his laissez-faire theory. This is what? The product of age of enlightenment. Kant gives his Kantian ethics. ठीक है, Kant की theory. That is what? Age of enlightenment period. Jeremy Bentham, J.S. Mill, they give their ideas. That is age of enlightenment period. Rousseau comes with his ideas. That is age of enlightenment period. Voltaire comes with his ideas. That is age of enlightenment period. And while criticizing the Roman Empire, Voltaire writes that the Roman Empire was neither ancient nor holy. बताओ, हजारों साल से रोमन एम्पायर को लोग क्या कह रहे हैं? एंशियंट होली रोमन एम्पायर. वॉल्टेयर कहता है भाई तुम्हारा रोमन एम्पायर इट वाज नेदर एंशियंट नॉर होली. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. दैट इज व्हाट? एज ऑफ एनलाइटनमेंट पीरियड प्रोडक्ट दैट वाज हैपनिंग इन दिस पीरियड. ओके, नाउ दिस इज जी. This much we need to study. Those students who are students of history optional, they should read in detail कि कांट ने क्या कहा, रूसो ने क्या कहा, जेरेमी बेंथम, जेस मिल ने क्या कहा. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? But as a student of GS, we should be familiar with this much ideas. I think you are familiar with these ideas. ठीक है, तो हम इसमें और एंटर नहीं कर रहे हैं. This will become what? Okay, इतना ही रहने देते हैं. Otherwise, this will become optional. Okay. Now we are familiar with two progressive concepts here. That is, from this period, again I am repeating some things. 14th 15th century AD to this 17th century AD, this is Renaissance period. Renaissance period. और ये years आपको याद हो रहा है. These facts are called string of facts. हमको इतना पता होना चाहिए. Then we can construct our opinion or the thought. 17th 18th century is what? 17th 18th century is age of enlightenment. Clear? अब क्या होगा? Renaissance period, there will be impact, and in the modern history class I already have discussed the impact in very detail, so I will give a glimpse here. ठीक है ना? कुछ एक बात बता दे रहा हूँ. I have already discussed this in detail that what will be the impact here. तो एक impact कहाँ दिखता है बताओ, जो लोग मॉडर्न इंडिया की क्लास में थे. क्या क्या impact होगा Renaissance का? Where the impacts can be seen? Exactly, scientific discoveries, scientific inventions and discoveries. ये भी हमने डिस्कस किया था. एज ऑफ एक्सप्लोरेशन एंड एज ऑफ डिस्कवरीज, दिस ऑल्सो वी हैव डिस्कस. तो इम्पैक्ट तो यहाँ भी होगा. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? फ्यूडल सिस्टम विल क्रम्बल. आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड इन डिटेल. फ्यूडल सिस्टम विल क्रम्बल, और इस फ्यूडल सिस्टम को रिप्लेस क्या करेगा? कॉमर्शियल रिवॉल्यूशन. तो यहाँ भी तो इम्पैक्ट है रेनेसां पीरियड का, राइट? एंड व्हेन वी सी हियर लेटर, अगर इसी में आगे बढ़ते हो तो मर्चेंट कैपिटलिज्म विल कम, बट लेटर मर्चेंट कैपिटलिज्म, दिस इकोनॉमिक थियरी विल बी अपोज्ड बाय एडम स्मिथ. एडम स्मिथ इसको अपोज करेगा. तो ये क्या हो जाएगा? एज ऑफ एनलाइटनमेंट पीरियड आइडिया. सो दिस ऑल इज हैपनिंग. ठीक है. रिफॉर्म्स इन कैथोलिक चर्च, दिस इज ऑल्सो हैपनिंग. read this, reforms in Catholic Church, this is also happening. Okay, and what will happen else? Discovery होगा वहाँ यहाँ पे. तो cultural contact and trade links with the other countries of the world will also be established. Okay, and इसका भी क्या है? There are important and significant consequences. So you can write that cultural contacts with other parts of the world will also increase. ठीक है ना? This is age of enlightenment period. This is what, okay, we say that feudal system was crumbling, then commercial revolution, merchant capitalism, it will further be opposed by Adam Smith. ठीक है. तो ये सुबह वाली क्लास में हमने डिस्कस किया था इन डिटेल, तो इसको मैं दोबारा रिपीट नहीं कर रहा हूँ. गॉट इट? बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम दिया, more than 1 hour we have given. Now do you understand the entire developments? Now we will enter into the topics. टॉपिक में एंटर करेंगे. And the first topic that we are going to start will be French Revolution. Why? Because we all know when France sneezes, the entire Europe catches cold. So French Revolution तो important है ही है. ठीक है. Because the events that will take place in France will affect the entire political developments in all Europe, and that is why French Revolution is important. So write the topic here. that is French Revolution. And now we are entering into our topic. Okay, और वैसे मजेदार बात क्या है, फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन भी सिलेबस में नहीं लिखा हुआ है, बट आप कैसे आगे बढ़ोगे बिना फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन को पढ़े हुए? ओके, यू कैन नॉट skip this topic, French Revolution. Now we are going to discuss this French Revolution. Okay, so I have already told you that this French Revolution was basically a set of three revolutions: 1789, that is R1, and then 1830, that is known as R2, and then R3, that is the year 1848. Okay, this is a set of three revolution: R1, R2, and R3. Okay, now in order to understand this revolution, we need to understand French society. सबसे पहले French society, this is which century? कौन सी सेंचुरी है ये? 18th century. 18th century. And your syllabus clearly mentions important events in 18th century. French Revolution is one of the most important event in 18th century. सबसे important है. So we need to understand the French society. We need to understand religion in France. Religion को भी समझना है. We need to understand religion in France. We need to understand political system and order in France. This also we need to understand political system and order in France. French society, religion in France, political system and order in France. ठीक है? And the status of France, the status of France in Europe. The status of France in Europe. Status of France in Europe. These are the basic things that we need to understand here, right? These are the basic things. Okay, then I will also relate some other important issues, but let's discuss this basic theme here. So the first basic theme here is French society. French society. Okay, so in 18th century, yes, हाँ, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. So we are going to discuss this French society. So this is a very you can say that popular concept, that here we are going to discuss about the society and we are going to discuss the old regime in France. देखो revolution क्या लेके आएगा? New regime. Revolution के पहले फ्रांस में क्या है? Old regime. So I will discuss the basic features, और अभी जो हमने डिस्कस किया इसके साथ रिलेट करेंगे कि how these conditions are in sync with the old and ancient regime. उसके साथ कैसे सिंक में है? So obviously the 18th century revolution will bring new regime. This will bring new regime. So before this revolution, basically the regime was what? Old regime. Old regime. So in society also the reflections of this old regime are seen. Society में भी वो reflection old regime का देखने को मिलता है. And here what we see is stratification in society. A stratification in society. That is also social stratification. Social stratification is seen. It means the society here is divided into three groups. And here we will use a word for these groups, that is states. Clear? The society here is divided into two groups and we are using a word for this, and that is state. So there are three states in France. There are three states in France. First state, second state, and third state. First state, second state, and third state. First state, second state, and third state. These are three states in France. The first state we will put here clergy class. Clergy class was the first state. Nobility class was the second state. Nobility class was the second state. And commoners, they were the third state. Commoners were the third state. So there are three states. Okay, clergy class, nobility class, and the commoners. Now we need to discuss the first state, that is the class of clergies. in detail. That is what? First state, that is clergy. So we need to discuss in detail about these clergies. So there is a very interesting fact that the population of this is a religious class, the class of religious representatives. इनका population जो था ना 1% of total population, उससे भी कम था. It was even less than that. लेकिन फिर भी दया करके हम लिख देते हैं इस पे 1% of the total population. So the class of religious representatives, the population was nearly 1% of total population. ये population था 1% of total population. And they were controlling, okay, how much land? 10% of the total wealth of France. They were controlling 10% of the total wealth of France. ठीक है, यहाँ पे लैंड भी लिख सकते हो 10%. दिस इज अ जनरल आइडिया. पॉपुलेशन इज 1%, controlling 10% of the wealth. Is it a rich or prosperous class or not? Yes, this is a rich and prosperous class. Now I'm asking a simple question, that these are religious people, religious leaders, they are in charge of church, so they had to perform some religious activities. This is their task. What is the religious activities? For example, today also, at the time of birth of a baby or marriage or death, we perform different kind of sanskars. This is our religious activities. तो वैसा ही कुछ उनको भी करना था. They had to perform their religious activities, but they were very smart. Okay, they have appointed their assistants, and now this class of clergy was divided further into two classes. ये आगे और भी दो classes में divide है. One class is called higher clergy and the second class is called lower clergy. Higher clergy and lower clergy. ठीक है, तो higher clergy कौन है? Higher clergy कौन है? Higher clergy are those people, those church representatives who are concentrating all wealth in their hands, and they have appointed some religious representatives, okay, and they were performing all religious activities. सारा काम इनके चेले करते थे. And these higher clergies were living luxurious life. एकदम BMW मर्सिडीज में घूम रहे हैं. ठीक है, डोनेशन आ गया इनके पास, चंदा का पैसा आ गया, और बेचारे ये जो हैं लोअर क्लर्जी, ठीक है, ये सारा पूजा पाठ करवा रहे हैं. दे आर परफॉर्मिंग ऑल द रिलीजियस एक्टिविटीज. नाउ टेल मी व्हाट विल हैपन? विच क्लास विल बी डिससेटिस्फाइड? कौन क्लास डिससेटिस्फाइड रहेगा? हमेशा लोअर क्लर्जी. लोअर क्लर्जी विल ऑलवेज बी डिससेटिस्फाइड. तो जैसे ही 1789 का रिवॉल्यूशन होगा, रिवॉल्यूशनरीज के साथ जाके कौन मिल जाएगा? लोअर क्लर्जी. बेचारा पहले से ही कुछ नहीं है, अरे सारा काम मैं कर रहा हूँ, और सारा पैसा किसके पास जा रहा है? हायर क्लर्जी के पास. सो देयर वाज आल्सो अ डिवीजन. द टोटल पॉपुलेशन वाज नियरली 1%, एंड इसमें भी सबसे कम पॉपुलेशन किसका है? हायर क्लर्जी का. एंड ऑल द वेल्थ इज कंसंट्रेटेड इन द हैंड्स ऑफ हायर क्लर्जी. ओके, नाउ दिस इज आल्सो अ सॉर्ट ऑफ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. ये भी एक तरह का क्या है? Discrimination. Now, this class of clergies is a privileged class also. And why it is a privileged class? This I am going to discuss. This class was a privileged class also. ये privileged class भी. Privileged class क्यों था? इसके पीछे एक reason है. It was a privileged class because it will not pay taxes to the state. स्टेट को टैक्स वैक्स पे नहीं करना है. मैं भी सोच रहा हूँ कुछ ऐसा ही करूँ. ठीक है, 2-4-10 फिलोसफी की बुक्स पढ़ लूँ, राइट? तो व्हाट विल हैपन? दे डोंट हैव टू पे द टैक्सेस टू द स्टेट. ये प्रिविलेज है कि नहीं? टैक्स नहीं देना है. तो नॉट पेइंग द टैक्सेस इज अ प्रिविलेज. नॉट पेइंग द टैक्सेस, नॉट पेइंग द टैक्सेस इज अ प्रिविलेज. ठीक है. दूसरा प्रिविलेज क्या है? कि दे हैड द पावर टू इम्पोज टैक्सेस ऑन द पीपल. चर्च वाज इम्पोजिंग टैक्सेस. टैक्स कौन इम्पोज करता है? स्टेट. और यहाँ पे कौन टैक्स लगा रहा है? चर्च. ओके, तो ये तो और खतरनाक वाला प्रिविलेज हो गया कि दे वर आल्सो, राइट दिस, दे वर आल्सो इम्पोजिंग टैक्सेस. दे हैड द पावर टू इम्पोज टैक्सेस. दिस इज नोन एज टाइथ और टीथ. टाइथ, right? TITHE. That was the name of the tax. So church was also imposing taxes on the people. And now tell me, who has given the church the authority not to pay the taxes or to impose taxes, to collect taxes from the commoners. इनको ये अधिकार किसने दिया? स्टेट ने दिया, किंग ने दिया. एंड व्हाई स्टेट और किंग हैज गिवन देम दिस राइट? स्टेट और किंग ने इनको ये राइट क्यों दिया है पता है आपको? बिकॉज दे आर वैलिडेटिंग द पावर ऑफ द किंग. जब लोग नाराज होते हैं, चर्च अथॉरिटीज उनको बहला फुसला लेते हैं, यार राजा पे गुस्सा मत हो, उसको गॉड ने भेजा और गॉड से मेरी सुबह शाम बात होती है. ठीक है, तो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग बेसिकली दिस, ओके, ड्यू टू दिस cartel, so write this, that privileged class, write this privilege to the clergies was given by the church, was given by the church. Privilege to the clergies was given by the church. Privilege to the clergies was given by the church. ठीक है, privilege, sorry, was given by the state, sorry, privilege to the clergies was given by the state, right? Why? Because the Catholic Church or clergies were giving moral validation for the power of the ruler. They were validating moral validation, they were doing moral validation of the power of the ruler. Got it? That is a privileged class. If I say that the French society was based on the system of privileges, correct or not? Yes, एक class तो दिख ही गया जो privileged है. Now the next class is what? After clergy, the next class was nobility class. Write this, nobility class. Nobility class के साथ क्या कहानी थी? The population was 2 to 5%, 2 to 5%. ये population था 2 to 5%, and they were owners of land. They were the owners of land. Majority of the land holdings were in the control of nobility class. Okay, majority of the land were in the control of the nobility class. ठीक है, ये सब nobility class के control में, right? Now this nobility class, okay, was one of the rich class, rich and prosperous. Obviously it was rich and prosperous because they were the owners of the land. Okay, now what was their role? So their role, so देखो, king will rule the state, but is it possible that the king can alone rule the state? अकेले rule कर लेगा क्या? नहीं. The king will need what? Administrative support and help. And who was giving this administrative support and help? Feudal lords and their families. So write this, they were providing administrative support and help, okay, for the functioning of the state. Feudal lords, basically their sons and daughters, right? The feudal lords, they were also providing administrative support for the functioning of the state. It means they were holding important administrative offices within the state. जैसे ऐसा तो है नहीं कि when you will become IAS, your son and daughter will also become IAS today. ऐसा नहीं होगा. They will also have to prepare for this exam. But at that time, what was happening? These administrative offices were hereditary in nature. ठीक है, ये hereditary चला रहा था. These administrative offices were hereditary in nature. So all exclusive administrative offices and the posts were reserved for the sons and daughters of the feudal lords. Is it a privilege or not? Privilege है, बिल्कुल privilege है. अगर अभी कर दिया जाए इंडिया में तो अगली क्रांति इंडिया में हो जाएगी. समझ गया ना? So this is a privilege. Now this is one privilege. What is the another privilege? The second privilege is what? They are not paying taxes on the property which they are owing. Okay, so write this. They were given exemption from the property tax. They were not paying taxes on the property which they were owing. they were given exemption from this property tax. बताओ, पैसा जिसके पास सबसे ज्यादा है वही प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स नहीं दे रहा. Administrative offices are hereditary. Now tell me one thing, that if you are the owners of the land, you are also in the administration, you are also the feudal lord class, तो आम आदमी की दशा क्या होगी ऐसे स्टेट में? They will be more exploited, क्योंकि उनकी बात सुनने वाला कोई नहीं होगा. राजा के सपोर्टर्स हैं feudal lords, तो बहुत बुरी हालत थी आम आदमी की. So write this, the third part, two privileges you have understood now, okay, right? Third is the commoners class. Third is the commoners class. That is the third class, commoners. Commoners. Okay. Commoners class. 90, write this, 92 to 95% of population. This is not an exact data. किसी बुक में आपको 92, 95, कहीं nobility class को 8% लिखते तो it's okay. ठीक है, 92 to 95% of population. Okay. And this class was the backbone of the country. आज भी backbone है. This was the backbone of the country. The burden of taxation किसके ऊपर है? Commoners के ऊपर. Write this. All the burden of taxation, all the burden of taxation lies on the shoulders of the commoners. It means they were paying taxes. Here they are not privileged. They were paying taxes. So in this respect, they were non-privileged class. सारा टैक्स यही पे कर रहा है. So that is a non-privileged class. They are paying all the taxes. They are paying, you can say that, the largest share of the taxes. So this is a non-privileged class. Are they facing discrimination in society? Yes. So they are paying all the taxes plus largest share of the taxes, and they are also facing discrimination in society. They are also facing discrimination in society. They are excluded from all the exclusive administrative offices and services. क्या ये administrative offices और services जो important है? I am not talking about, okay, all the services. So read this. They were also excluded. They were also excluded from all the important administrative offices. They were also excluded from all the important administrative offices. वहां से इनको बाहर कर दिया. ठीक है. They are paying all the taxes. और चर्च को रिलीजियस टैक्स कौन पे कर रहा है? टाइट टैक्स. These people, they are facing discrimination. They are paying property taxes also. Property tax is known as taille. In France, it is known as taille. Religious tax that was imposed by the church was known as tithe. ठीक है. So they are paying this tax also, property tax, taille also, tithe also. So they are paying all the taxes. They are facing discrimination. They are facing discrimination. Now I'm asking you a simple question, that this class is a privileged class or non-privileged class? Non-privileged class. So write this point. This class was a non-privileged class or not privileged class. This class was not privileged class. ये not privileged class था. Okay. Not privileged class or non-privileged class. Now who will come in this third, you can say, commoners? Commoners में कौन कौन आएगा? Okay. Exactly. So read this. Peasants, workers, lawyers, doctors, bankers, teachers, सबका लिख लो नाम. ठीक है. This all is in the list of the commoners. ये सारे के सारे commoners में. And this is non-privileged class. This is non-privileged class. All these are the commoners, non-privileged class. Now I'm asking a simple question, that the third state is a homogeneous body or heterogeneous body? Exactly. So read this. It was a heterogeneous body. ठीक है. अलग अलग groups थे यहाँ. It was a heterogeneous body. Now I will ask you a statement and you will say that this statement is true or not. Okay. The statement is, अभी पूरी बात नहीं समझ में आएगी, बट आप ये समझ सकते हो. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज, द सोसाइटी इन फ्रांस वॉज बेस्ड ऑन सिस्टम ऑफ प्रिविलेजेस. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? ओके. विच आर द प्रिविलेज क्लास? first state, second state. Which is the non-privileged class? Commoners. And which are the what are the examples of these privileges? You already know this. Now a historian says that the revolution in France was not directed against the feudal system, but against the effect survival of the part of the system. Basically it was directed against the system of privileges. हालांकि ये बात आगे समझ में आएगी आपको, इसीलिए डोंट राइट दिस. राइट वन पॉइंट हियर दैट the revolution in France was mainly directed against the system of privileges. Write this point and I will discuss, and then you will understand that what I mean to say. The revolution in France was mainly based on the system of privileges. Okay? It was based mainly on the system of privileges. ठीक है, ये privileges के system पर based था. Okay. Now you have some idea about, basic idea about the society in France. ठीक है, सोसाइटी की अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो गई. ठीक है, अब देखो, अभी थोड़ा सा क्लास के ड्यूरेशन को 5, 10 या 15 मिनट में कुछ कम रखूंगा. रीज़न क्या है, कुछ बच्चों की 3 क्लासेस हो जा रही हैं, 4 क्लासेस हो जा रही है. ठीक है ना, तो 1-2 बच्चों ने मैसेज किया, तो आई विल टेक केयर ऑफ दिस. तो आज तो 15 मिनट्स पहले हम छोड़ देंगे. 1 आवर 45 मिनट्स विल बी सफिशिएंट. ठीक है, वी विल कवर इट ऑन टाइम. और देखो, जैसे ही वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री ख़त्म होगा, ठीक है, आई विल टेक 10 क्लासेस एंड देन आई विल डिस्कस फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ आईआर, जहाँ पे मैं यूएन के बारे में बताऊंगा, स्पेशलाइज्ड प्रोग्राम्स ऑफ यूएन इसके बारे में बताऊंगा. ठीक है, और जो इंडिया की फॉरेन पॉलिसी के बेसिक डॉक्ट्रिन्स हैं ये बताऊंगा. अभी फ़िलहाल फॉरेन जितने कीवर्ड्स हैं, जितना आप कीवर्ड्स पढ़ते हो ना, वो सारे कीवर्ड्स आपको बता दूंगा, एंड दैट विल बी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर प्रीलिम्स आल्सो. ठीक है, तो इससे कनेक्ट करके पढ़ लेंगे. करंट अफेयर्स आप पढ़ते रहिए और हिस्ट्री से रिलेटेड करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ना बंद कर दीजिए, बिकॉज आई विल रिकॉर्ड 15 lectures on that in the month of Feb or March. ठीक है ना, and in 30 hours I will cover all the current updates from history. Okay, तो आप इकोनॉमिक, साइंस, टेक, इन्वायरमेंट, इकोलॉजी, इनसे रिलेटेड अपडेट्स को पढ़ो. ठीक है, मैं प्रीलिम्स के वो सारे डिस्कशंस लेके आऊँगा. हाँ, बट एक चीज़ ज़रूर है कि आई विल एक्सपेक्ट अ फ्यू स्टूडेंट्स टू बी हियर लाइव ऑनलाइन टू कीप देयर वीडियोज़ ऑन. ठीक है ना, ये एक बार सारे मॉड्यूल्स ऐसे ही जाएंगे. ठीक है, देन ऑल द लेक्चर्स विल बी रिकॉर्डेड. ठीक है, तो करंट अपडेट्स वगैरह मैं देता रहूँगा. तो ऑब्वियसली यू ऑल आर बेनिफिटेड बाय दिस क्लास. थोड़ा बहुत तो हेल्प मिलेगी आपको. कुछ हेल्प मिल रही है? अच्छा, थॉट कुछ आपका ऐसा लग रहा है कि कुछ एनालिटिकल थॉट और अप्रोच कुछ डेवलप हो रहा है. ठीक है, तो अ टाइम विल कम व्हेन यू विल रियलाइज दैट the need for memorizing the things will be minimized. ठीक है, this is the magic of my class, but this will not happen in one day. एक दिन में तो होगा नहीं है. This will take time, and that's why we are reading with very much patience. एक टाइम आएगा कि you need to read only PYQs and some facts, and you will be comfortable in prelims, and you will be expert in writing mains also. ठीक है ना, but this will take time gradually, and that's why I do board work here. अदरवाइज आई वुड हैव यूज्ड पीपीटीज. पीपीटीज मेरे पास सब चीज़ की है, बट पीपीटी लगाना मतलब बहुत अच्छा नहीं है इस एग्जाम के लिए, बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स नीड्स टू बी कोरिलेटेड, एंड दैट विल नॉट हैपन व्हेन आई विल यूज दैट पीपीटी. एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई डू बोर्ड वर्क, बिकॉज दिस इज द नीड ऑफ द एग्जाम. अगर मैं लेक्चरर पढ़ा रहा होता तो मैं पीपीटी से ही पढ़ाता. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? दे सकते हो, राइट? ओके.